Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question comes to us straight out of the Judge Vault, and it's one of my personal favorite rules questions. Amy plays Eternal Witness, while Nick controls Elesh, Norn, Grand Cenobite. After the -2/2 kills Eternal Witness, is it possible for Amy to use the Eternal Witness's ETB ability to return Eternal Witness itself to her hand? Alright, the first important piece of information we'll need to answer this question is that there's a difference between the time when a triggered ability triggers and the time when it goes on the stack. If you've followed this channel for a while now, you might remember a fun analogy I like to use for this, where a group of fairies note the triggered ability on a whiteboard when it triggers, then the game comes from time to time and moves everything from the whiteboard onto the stack. The reason for this is that we cannot have triggered abilities go on the stack continuously as they trigger, because there are certain times, such as during the casting or resolution of another ability or spell, where the stack is busy. It might get pretty messy if we were able to put more stuff on the stack at times like that, which is the reason why the game rules have this buffering system in place. Now, this distinction is important for this question because the time where you have to say the targets of a triggered ability is not when the ability triggers, but rather the point where you're putting it onto the stack. The last piece of information that we'll need to answer this question is a little bit more detail about that process. Anytime a player is about to get priority, the game first performs any state-based actions. Then, after that's done, all the abilities that are written on the whiteboard get put onto the stack. Only after both of these steps have been completed does that player actually get priority. Now that we have all that set, let's take a look at exactly what happens step by step to answer our original question. When the Eternal Witness spell resolves, it becomes a permanent and enters the battlefield under Amy's control. This causes its triggered ability to trigger, so the fairies note that on their whiteboard. Since the spell resolved, the active player is going to get priority, but before that happens, the game performs state-based actions, such as putting Eternal Witness into the graveyard. Then, the game takes the triggered ability from the whiteboard and moves it onto the stack. Because Eternal Witness is in the graveyard by this time, it indeed is a valid target for that triggered ability, exactly like Amy had hoped. I really like this question because it requires a pretty detailed understanding of the interaction of a couple of major rules topics to produce a rather unexpected result. I've thought about redoing this episode for a long time because I covered it really early on and I've made a lot of improvements to my production since then. So hopefully everybody enjoyed this DDR classic. And that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another daily ruling. Until then, I hope you have a great day.